What's my story? What's my why? These are questions I often get asked from stroke survivors, from potential clients, from existing clients. I openly share my story with my existing clients, but I'll put a little bit out there for you now as I keep getting this question a lot, so it can give you some better understanding of where I'm coming from. I suffered three strokes roughly 6 years ago. And the prognosis or what they told my family was I'd be dead in 2 days. Obviously, I wasn't. 2 days passed, and then they went to my sister and said, well, he seems to be somehow getting better, but he's going to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. She was like, you don't know my brother. From there, it led me on the long journey around the country to rehab from my stroke. And the effects were pretty severe. I finally, really fast forwarding, after traveling from my sisters in New Jersey to learn how to walk again, out to Perillo Performance in Ohio, to Dr. Jim Sandberg and Dr. Diane Sandberg out in Thousand Oaks, California, to Danielle Bejarano at Believe in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was able to function again, get a job, and become part of society in New York City again. This was great. It took roughly 3 years to do that. But it is what it is. The way I always looked at it, and what I find the most in talking to people, is you can lay out the perfect program for their rehabilitation for them to get back to where they were and past that. And that's part of the key is you're creating a new you. You're not just trying to get back to where you were when you had the stroke. You want to get past that. You want to become a different you. But if they don't have the mindset, the discipline to get up and do the work every day, they're never going to get there. One thing I always had was that mindset, and that's from being an athlete for a bunch of years, competitive athlete. So it was always about taking that next step forward, being that 1% better. The way I always looked at it is if I got up and I really wasn't doing anything to get better, I would never get better. And did I really want to spend my life in that position of being the person who had a stroke, now can't walk right, now can't use his arms correctly, now has trouble speaking, trouble focusing? I've always worked on these things to get them better. Some things have responded better than others, but progress has been moving ahead. Then, lo and behold, I ran into the next problem, which I didn't expect. And there's really nothing um, physically you can do to heal this. You just have to endure the healing and really work with the nutritional aspect of it. Nutrition and physical rehabilitation has always been a big part of my program, regardless. But I got a dissected basilar artery. And for those of you that don't know, the basilar artery is formed when the two vertebral arteries in your neck come together, they form one artery. That's your basilar artery, and that feeds into the circle of Willis and in the brain. With the dissection in there, my brain wasn't getting all the oxygen it needed. So I was starting to see some pretty crazy symptoms: memory loss, balance issues. My walk was off. But there were things that I noticed, not things that other people like, oh my God, what's going on? There were things I noticed. So eventually I didn't know what was going on. I knew something was up. So eventually we did an MRA and an MRI to find out what was going on in my brain. We also tested for seizures. The seizures were negative, but they found a dissected basilar artery. Now, this is like Sisyphus pushing the stone up the hill, and then it just keeps rolling back down. I came through all the stroke recovery and got to a point where I could function again and be part of society and be productive. But now all of a sudden, something was pushing me back down. So I could have at this point kind of packed it in and said it is what it is, but I still have that same mentality of getting 1% better every day. I'm still doing things to get better that won't physically help this directly get better, but it helps my body. Things like walking every day, working out. My nutrition has always been on point. And this has been very important, and it's more important than anybody wants to realize. But there's so much you can do with nutrition that will help you move forward. I'm not saying it will replace everything you need to do, but it is a definite piece of the puzzle that helps you get better. So it's something that I work with many people on. But the big thing is you need to have that mindset, that discipline to wake up every day and do what needs to be done. If you don't do the work, you're never going to get better. And I mean, in all reality, do you want somebody having to do things for you? Do you want to have to ask for things? Do you want to have to ask for assistance? I've always been a very independent person and the person that people rely on to be that independent person. Now, all of a sudden, I find myself in a position that that's not the case really anymore. And it drives me nuts. I work every day so I don't have to be in this position. Thank God there have been people there to help me along the way. That's been a giant part of this. So that's, I mean, like I said, we can design or I can design the greatest program for you. But if you don't do the work, if you don't have the mindset, the discipline to move forward and put in the work every day to at least get 1% better, you never will. That's the biggest thing. People need to understand that you have to put in the work. Going to rehab for 3 months, twice a week after a stroke is not going to get you fully recovered. Um, Not changing your nutrition to address the issues that led to the stroke and issues that will help your body get better isn't going to help you get better. You need to correct those issues. I can't tell you the amount of people I speak to who don't even think about that. They had a stroke because they had clotting and they had an ischemic stroke, and you ask them about their diet, and their diet's horrible. And I see this all the time. And you work to clean it up, and they want to tell you they can't do that. And this is now a matter of life or death, and they're unwilling to inconvenience themselves, we'll call it, to make that little change to get better. And it doesn't have to be all at once. It can be step by step. Like I said, 1% better every day. Same thing with working out. You don't have to join a gym and become a bodybuilder. Start by walking. Start by walking around the block. And then gradually it gets farther. Gradually, maybe you start doing body weight exercises. And gradually, maybe you go to a gym. Whatever it may be, whatever suits you. But you need to move forward from where you are. You need to put in the work to get there. And the work, I'm not going to lie to you, the work never ends. Once you're in this position, this is a forever thing. You don't get to, and what I hear from a lot of people is like, I just want to be able to walk normal again. Well, you need to keep working at it. It's not like you wake up one day and everything's normal and okay, I can forget this happened. This is a really serious life event. There are different degrees it can happen, but it's what I hear from my doctors all the time when they talk to me is it's miraculous that you're even alive. And it's always been my position. It's not miraculous. It's all the correct eating and working out I did before and having that push forward mindset that nothing was going to stop me. And I'll tell you right now, there's days I get up, I feel like complete dog shit. I don't want to do the work, but I don't have a choice. I cannot do it and I cannot get better. You have to keep working at getting better. And it's a roller coaster ride of healing. It's not a linear line where you just get better every day. There will be days that are great, there will be days that are not great. But you still have to keep pushing forward because eventually those great days will outnumber the not so great days. And that's what you're working towards. And this may take years. So many people don't want to hear that, but that's reality. You can't force healing. You can help it. And that's what we try to do, is I'll help people heal and design the correct program to help them heal and try to adjust that to their lifestyle so we're successful in following it. If they don't follow it, nothing's going to happen. And I see this way too many times in people. So really you need to kind of, if anything like this has happened to you and you're a stroke survivor, especially, you really need to take a step back and look at the reasons you had the stroke and then what you can do to make that better. Many people just don't know. I see this all the time. They believe what they're told on TV. They believe all these infomercials. They believe in these miracle supplements. And look, supplementation is necessary, but the right ones. There's no miracle pill. I used to tell this all the time to people, and I still do actually. When I was in the hospital, I'm like, look, there's no pill that says this is the stroke pill, and you just take that and you get better. That's not the case. A stroke is a compilation of several factors that grew to a point that you finally had a stroke. Whatever that may be, that's what you have to look at. And that's why they do all this testing. So you can see exactly what led to you being in this position. Then it's up to you to design or get the plan that's going to reverse engineer that. And that's what I always tell people. If you can lay out how the issue got there, you can reverse engineer that so it's not there. I mean that's one of the simplest things. And it's so disheartening to hear people say, "Look, I had a stroke, this is what it is." And that's not the case. Some may take longer than others. I mean, there's some really great deficits that they have to overcome, but you have to work at it. If you don't work at it, yes, it's going to be there 10 years from now. But I don't think anybody wants to be in that position. So many people don't want to put in the work to get there. But the fact of the matter is, you need to put in the work. And that's part of what I do is I design these programs for people. And basically, this was if you want to look at it this way, I was both the doctor and the patient in this scenario for me. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. My undergrad was nutrition, but taking all that information and then applying it to me as a patient was difficult, but needed to be done. And so when I go in and speak to my medical team, I often preface it with like, look, I'm not going on WebMD 10 minutes before I come in here to get a bunch of questions to drill you on. I said, I have knowledge in this. So let's discuss what your plans are. I can then openly tell you what my thoughts are, and we can agree on things or disagree, but we can do it in a manner that it's informative and we can make a plan from there. And that's fine. It's as long as there's that open discussion. So many people can't have that discussion. They don't understand that. And that's one of the things we work with. So please, if something's happened to you like this, let's put the plan together and let's get you moving forward and get you better. Thank you.